Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are strapping in for what feels like a bit of a major course correction.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're diving deep into Cliza Systems.
Yeah.
Now, that's a name that's been generating, well, immense buzz and maybe, frankly, a lot of confused whispers in the decentralized application space, over the last few months especially. Our sources are pretty comprehensive, giving us a direct look at their recent V2 platform development, the fundamental shifts in their architecture, and maybe most importantly, their strategic pivot to really embrace a multi-chain future.
That's a really good way to frame it. The world of Web3 development, it moves incredibly fast, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah?
And perception, roadmap targets.
Yeah.
They often clash with the actual reality of shipping complex, secure, decentralized code. It's tough stuff.
Right.
And for platforms like Cliza, they're managing large liquidity pools. They underpin new token creation. Every single launch detail gets scrutinized heavily.
So our mission today.
Yeah, our mission, I think, is to cut through that narrative that suggested maybe a failure to deliver V2 on time, and instead present the clear, factual story. What actually happened. Development execution versus maybe those initial community expectations. We're really focusing on how a platform evolves when it's staring down this huge technical challenge, like integrating totally different blockchain ecosystems.
Okay, let's unpack this with purpose then.
Yeah.
Our goal for you, the listener, is sort of twofold. First, we really need to definitively address the confusion around that September timeline. Why did people think V2 was missed? What did the team actually deliver and when?
Crucial context.
Exactly. Second, we need to detail the core technical stuff, right? And the economic components of the V2 delivery. Specifically, that groundbreaking multi-chain capability and the major overhaul of their tokenomics. That's a big one.
Huge.
And finally, we'll chart the confirmed, pretty aggressive path towards the Protocol 2.0 release. That's slated for December. So yeah, we're trading rumors for roadmaps and diving into the strategic substance.
And we don't have to bury the lead here. The narrative of failure is just not supported by the documents we've looked at. Cliza did deliver its V2 platform.
Okay.
The key insight, really, is that the launch wasn't missed. The scope was, I think, wisely managed. They prioritized components, right? Which led to a successful rollout on October 1st.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Because that delivery on October 1st, it wasn't just some minor update. It was a fundamental architectural shift. This ability to launch seamlessly, simultaneously, on both Base and Solana, that's a serious engineering feat. It completely changes their competitive position.
Absolutely.
That's the critical context we need to keep in mind throughout this entire deep dive. Okay, let's start right there at the heart of the controversy.
Yeah.
That timeline confusion. It really dominated community forums, didn't it? Throughout late September.
It absolutely did.
We know the narrative that took hold was basically September was the target, September passed, therefore, Cliza V2 missed. So let's use the sources. Set a precise date. Give us the context for the actual delivery.
Right. The correction is immediate and, frankly, necessary. Cliza V2 was successfully delivered and shipped on October 1st, 2025. Simple as that.
October 1st. Okay.
And the team's communication around this delivery, it was very focused, heavily focused on reassuring their existing community, which is just crucial in this kind of volatile market.
Makes sense.
Their official announcement really emphasized continuity above all else. They said, and this is a direct quote from the material we have, "It's been nearly 7 months, and today we've shipped Cliza V2. It's the same coin, same CA, but with new features."
Okay, let's pause on that continuity note for a sec. The same coin, same CA. Now, for listeners maybe not deep in the weeds of decentralized infrastructure, contract address, continuity. That's massive, isn't it? Why is that specific feature so essential to highlight?
Oh, it's huge. It's often the most overlooked indicator of, let's say, development maturity. When a platform undergoes a really significant technical overhaul like this, the easy path is often just to launch a new token or a new contract address, a new CA.
Right, make everyone swap.
Exactly. And that forces existing holders to execute a swap or a migration, which, creates market fragmentation, massive liquidity headaches, and introduces serious security risks, associated with those migration contracts. So by successfully executing V2 while maintaining the original contract address, the team showed, I think, a profound commitment. commitment to market stability, commitment to token holder trust.
That's a strong signal.
It is. They integrated multi-chain functionality and a whole economic model overhaul without forcing a single token swap.
Yeah.
That minimizes disruption for their established user base. That technical stability, that's the bedrock, right? That allows users to actually trust the new features.
Okay, so the delivery date is firm, October 1st. If the team delivered, why did the community zero in so hard on September? What was actually on the September roadmap that led to this perception of, delay or failure?
Yeah, the confusion, it really seems to stem from the nature of agile development, prioritizing components.
Yeah.
September was definitely a busy month on their internal roadmap, but it was dedicated to foundational elements, not the sort of unified Big Bang V2 platform rollout.
Oh.
The roadmap for September 2025 detailed 3 very specific interlocking initiatives. These were foundational to making V2 actually work.
What were they?
Okay, first, Cliza OS development, so continued refinement of their underlying operating system. Second, DAO features implementation, laying the groundwork for future governance stuff.
Right.
And third, and this was the crucial one that grabbed attention, the Solana token launch protocol public beta. They were targeting the first public functional integration of Solana capability. That was the September goal.
I see. So the team is targeting major components, especially that first taste of Solana functionality. But the full integrated V2 experience, Layer 0 bridge included, that was always scheduled for the final integration window, which just happened to land in early October.
Precisely. That distinction between component delivery and the full platform launch, that's where the narrative kind of broke down in the public space.
Mm-hmm.
And co-founder Francis Kim's commentary, it really underscores the strategic nature of this, let's call it a slight schedule adjustment, not a miss. The team consciously prioritized delivering the complex foundational pieces like that Solana beta first.
Makes sense. Test it out.
Yeah, exactly. Allowing them to test and iterate before pushing the full V2 update. If you connect this to the bigger picture, high-speed crypto development, this approach is actually a sign of operational strength, I'd argue, not weakness.
How so?
Well, it shows flexibility in execution. It lets them respond to real-time development needs, integrate feedback from those beta tests, and ultimately ensure a more stable final V2 product. It's about shipping right, not just shipping fast.
So it sounds like the successful delivery of V2 on October 1st was actually contingent on successfully completing those internal September components. Like when you're developing something as complex as cross-chain infrastructure, maybe a few weeks of focused component testing can prevent a catastrophic failure on the main platform launch day.
That is the essential takeaway here. The story isn't really that they missed some arbitrary deadline. The story is that they adopted maybe a surgical approach, a methodical rollout.
Okay.
They delivered foundational pieces in September. They absorbed the slight delay needed for integration, and then they shipped the complete stable V2 platform on October 1st. And critically, with that essential continuity of the contract address, this execution style, it's actually highly indicative of a mature development process, one that focuses on security over just raw speed.
Okay, this shift in narrative is everything, really. We move from a conversation about failure to launch to an analysis of what strategic prioritization for stability. All right, now let's focus on the massive technical payoff of that strategic prioritization. What did V2 actually bring to the table? So the technical essence of V2, it's the move to multi-chain, right? Cliza was, primarily base-centric before. Tied into the Ethereum ecosystem, V2 transforms it into a genuine cross-ecosystem player, spanning 2 fundamentally different architectures. What exactly defines this new multi-chain launch capability?
Yeah, the most disruptive feature, I think, of V2 is its capability for simultaneous token launches.
Simultaneous.
Okay. This means, as a creator, you no longer have to say, deploy your contract on Base, wait, and then manually try to do a similar deployment or bridging over on Solana, which historically is often difficult, prone to error.
A nightmare sometimes.
Right. V2 lets creators deploy a token instantly on both Base and Solana blockchains at the exact same moment.
Wow. Okay, they capture the significance of this pretty beautifully in their public statement, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Challenging that tribalism that often plagues the blockchain world. They said, Base or Solana? Wrong question. With Cliza V2, launch coins on both same time. One coin, multiple chains.
That statement really encapsulates the logistical and the technical breakthrough. You really have to appreciate the difficulty here. Base is an Ethereum Layer 2 solution, right? fundamentally built on the Ethereum virtual machine, the EVM standard.
Yep.
Solana, totally different beast, uses a different consensus mechanism, different smart contract programming models, Rust, C-level. It's a non-EVM chain.
Like they don't naturally talk to each other.
Not at all. Historically, launching a cohesive token presence across both, it meant immense duplicated effort. You needed specialized smart contracts for each environment, and you had to rely on manual, potentially insecure external bridging setups. V2 just abstracts all that complexity away.
So this isn't just like a simple porting mechanism. It's true, simultaneous interoperability. And the infrastructure, the magic sauce that enables this fluidity, is that integration of Layer 0 V2. Let's explain to the listener exactly how Layer 0 acts as the critical piece of plumbing here.
Yeah, Layer 0 is the key. It's the seamless cross-chain communication protocol that makes the simultaneous deployment possible. V2 features a Layer 0 bridge that is live, quote, from minute one.
From minute one, okay.
Which means that the cross-chain infrastructure isn't some secondary tool users have to figure out later. It's an intrinsic part of the token's deployment structure from the get-go. Layer 0 basically facilitates message passing between Base and Solana.
Okay, analogy time. If Base and Solana are like two countries with fundamentally different languages, EVM language versus Rust non-EVM language, traditional bridges are maybe like those old, slow, one-way ferries. They require complicated customs paperwork, often take hours. What makes the Layer 0 V2 integration different? How does that change the game?
That's actually a great analogy. Layer 0 V2 acts more like a generalized messaging primitive.
Yeah.
It doesn't just move tokens, it moves information. It ensures that the state of the token on Base is instantly reflected on Solana and vice versa.
Information passing.
Exactly. It's designed to be secure and lightweight. It essentially eliminates the logistical and security risks inherent in those older liquidity-centric bridging models that relied on locking up assets.
Okay.
So for the user, the immediate practical benefit is huge. Their tokens, regardless of which chain they happen to be sitting on at that moment, are perceived as the same coin because Layer 0 ensures verifiable low-latency communication between the two contracts deployed on Base and Solana.
That benefit of verifiable communication, that must be massive for liquidity, right? If a token is deployed via V2 and maybe I buy it on Base, I know I can instantly access liquidity in markets on Solana without some painful 2-hour manual bridging process that carries counterparty risk.
Exactly right. It completely simplifies the movement of value. By integrating Layer 0, Cliza isn't just positioning itself as a deployment platform, it's becoming, in effect, a genuine cross-chain liquidity aggregator. This lets token creators instantly tap into the deep liquidity and user base of Base, which is tied to Ethereum, and the speed and unique user base of Solana. Those are two of the most active but traditionally pretty separate ecosystems today. It's a really strategic move to maximize potential market reach and minimize market fragmentation for every single token launched on the platform.
It sounds like the ultimate scaling strategy then. Don't build a better wall between ecosystems, build a better, maybe an invisible connection.
That's a good way to put it.
It removes the need for developers to stress so much about the underlying blockchain architecture, letting them focus instead on the utility of their actual token. That capability alone, it seems to justify the strategic prioritization we saw in that timeline shift.
Absolutely. It underpins the entire value proposition going forward.
Okay, now we have to switch gears a bit. Moving from the technical coming to the financial engine, so to speak. V2 wasn't only an architectural upgrade, it also included a foundational overhaul of the platform's economic model.
Right.
This strategic pivot, concerning how the native CLIZA token accrues value, it's arguably just as significant as that multi-chain integration we just discussed.
Yeah, this section definitely demands close attention because it reveals a very clear shift, a shift in long-term strategy, maybe even philosophy. Cliza formally transitioned away from its original revenue-sharing model.
Okay, hold on. Why abandon revenue sharing? It's a pretty popular model in crypto, right? It gives token holders direct, tangible yield. Seems like a policy shift that must have some significant rationale behind it.
Yeah, it's a fair question. The sources suggest it's probably a combination of strategic reasons. While revenue sharing sounds attractive on paper, it often runs into some major challenges in practice.
Like what?
Well, first, there are regulatory ambiguities, let's be honest. Distributing revenue directly to token holders, depending on the jurisdiction and how it's structured, can sometimes start to look like an unregistered security distribution. That's a minefield.
Okay, yeah. Regulatory risk.
Big time. Second, scalability and predictability are issues. Revenue derived from platform fees can be incredibly volatile, right? Market goes up, market goes down. That leads to unpredictable, often pretty low yields during market downturns, which doesn't exactly promote long-term holder stability or confidence.
So the thinking was, let's avoid the regulatory complexity, avoid the instability of direct payouts, and opt instead for a model that tries to generate long-term value through scarcity.
Precisely. According to the co-founder commentary we have, the team realized they were, quote, sunsetting the revenue share in Cliza V2, but instead will adopt a buyback and burn model. This decision really pivots the CLIZA token's value proposition. It moves from being like a volatile dividend collector to becoming a systematically deflationary asset, engineered for sustainable supply reduction over time.
Okay, this buyback and burn mechanism, the B&B model, it needs to be mathematically sound, and we need to make it perfectly clear for the listeners, the new source of value, right? So let's walk through the exact mechanics. How are fees collected? How are they processed? Step by step. Let's get the math absolutely clear.
This is critical. Let's maybe use a hypothetical example. Say a $10,000 launch pool, just to illustrate the mechanism clearly.
Perfect.
Step 1, the fee collection. Every single token launch done using the Cliza platform, doesn't matter if it's launched on Base, Solana, or simultaneously on both via V2, it charges a 1% LP, liquidity pool, fee. This fee is collected directly from the total launch liquidity provided.
Okay, so in our $10,000 example.
In our $10,000 example, the platform collects $100. That's 1% of $10,000. Straightforward.
Got it. Step 2.
Step 2, the protocol share. Now, of that initial 1% fee collected, only a fraction is actually designated for the protocol's operations in this token management process. Specifically, 20% of that collected fee goes directly to the protocol treasury.
Okay, so 20% of the $100 fee.
Right. In our example, that's $20. $20 goes to the protocol.
Okay. Step 3. This is where the action happens.
Step 3, the buyback action. Yes. The protocol takes that $20 share of the fee and immediately kicks off the deflationary process. Half of that protocol fee is used to actively buy back CLIZA tokens from the open market.
Ah, okay. So half of the $20.
Exactly. Continuing the example, $10, which is 50% of the $20 protocol share, is used to buy CLIZA tokens right off the open market. This applies constant buy pressure.
Okay. Buys $10 worth of CLIZA. Then what? Step 4, burn.
Step 4, the burn action and treasury management. Yes, and this is a vital distinction that sometimes gets missed in these models. The tokens that were just bought back with that $10, they are then split again. Half of the bought back CLIZA tokens are permanently burned, sent to an unspendable address, gone forever.
Okay, half burned. What about the other half?
The remaining half of the bought back tokens, they are routed to the protocol treasury. This is for ongoing development, operational costs, maybe held as a strategic reserve.
Okay, let's trace the example. If that $10 buyback managed to purchase, say, 1,000 CLIZA tokens,
then 500 of those tokens are burned forever, reducing the total supply, and the other 500 go into the protocol treasury.
that clarification is actually huge. I think there was maybe some ambiguity before about what happened to the tokens that were bought but not immediately burned. So they're retained for the treasury. The structure seems quite clever, actually. It accomplishes two things at once. It funds the project's operations, and it creates direct, measurable deflationary pressure on the token.
Exactly right. What's really fascinating here is the economic alignment it creates. This B&B structure directly aligns the value for token holders with the actual utility and usage of the platform.
How so?
Well, as the platform usage increases, meaning more token launches happen, generating more fees, the constant systematic burning of tokens ensures the supply continually shrinks over time. This resulting scarcity is intended to create intrinsic long-term value for TLIZA token holders, assuming, of course, that demand for the token remains steady or grows alongside the platform's success.
Okay, I've had to push back just a little bit here, though. Moving away from direct, visible revenue share, that's always a bit of a risk, isn't it? Doesn't this new B&B structure rely entirely on the promise of future scarcity paying off? How does the team address the potential, maybe the immediate alienation, of existing holders who might have been banking on getting that passive dividend-like yield?
That's a really valid strategic critique, and the sources do indicate the team is leaning heavily on future platform utility and the visibility they expect to gain. The bet, essentially, is that the new multi-chain capability we talked about, accessing both Base and Solana, will drive a massive increase in launch volume.
Okay.
If that volume increases substantially, which is the whole goal of tapping into both ecosystems liquidity, then the deflationary impact from the B&B mechanism should theoretically outweigh the immediate benefit that was lost from the old revenue share model.
So they're signaling long-term confidence.
Absolutely. They're effectively saying, we believe our technology is so powerful it will guarantee platform usage, which in turn makes scarcity, driven by B&B, a more reliable and sustainable value driver than potentially volatile or legally tricky dividends.
It's definitely a move that communicates extreme confidence in their product roadmap, they're saying. Trust the architecture, trust the volume we're going to generate, and your token will accrue value through systematic supply reduction, which they probably see as a much cleaner economic model than complex, maybe legally ambiguous revenue payouts.
That seems to be the core logic, yes.
All right, so V2 is delivered, the multi-chain foundation is set, the economic model is completely overhauled. But, as we kind of noted earlier, the development machine seems relentless here.
Doesn't stop.
Yeah, the sources outline a truly aggressive, continuous roadmap leading right into the new year. That October 1st launch, it clearly wasn't an endpoint. It feels more like a launch pad for what's next.
That's definitely the proper interpretation. The velocity of development here is quite remarkable, actually. We have concrete information about the immediate next steps they plan for October and November 2025. And these show a clear dual focus, technical polish, and aggressive business development.
Okay, what were those immediate post-V2 initiatives to sort of wrap up the year?
Well, on the technical side, there's the immediate and frankly necessary work of ongoing front-end improvements. Any major platform migration like this requires extensive user interface testing, refinement. So this continued polish is expected, and it's important for user experience.
Makes sense. And on the business side?
On the business side, there was continued engagement. Specifically, the sources mentioned attendance at Token 2049 Singapore. This signals, I think, the strategic importance they placed on visibility and building partnerships immediately following that V2 delivery, getting the word out.
And speaking of partnerships, November apparently holds a particularly significant milestone on that business development front.
Absolutely. The roadmap confirms a major partnership announcement scheduled for November 2025. Now, given the immense technical capability unlocked by V2, specifically that simultaneous launch on Base and Solana, it seems highly probable this partnership leverages that unique cross-chain utility.
Like who? What kind of partnership might make sense?
Well, you can imagine maybe a major decentralized exchange or a large wallet provider, or perhaps another infrastructure provider looking to integrate Cliza's dual-chain deployment capability directly into their own services. This would be the team translating that technical execution we discussed into tangible business growth, finding real-world applications.
Yeah, that partnership announcement, that'll be the real-world validation one of that layer zero integration really working and being valuable to others. But the Real Horizon event, the next big thing, distinct from the V2 infrastructure update, that's scheduled for the end of the year, right?
Yeah, that's the Protocol 2.0 launch, scheduled for December 2025. And it's really crucial for the listener to understand the distinction here. V2, which landed in October, that was like the engine swap, getting the multi-chain plumbing and the new tokenomics foundation in place. Protocol 2.0, coming in December, sounds like it's the more comprehensive platform refinement and maybe future-proofing effort.
Okay, what specific details do we have about what Protocol 2.0 will actually bring? And how does it build on or integrate that foundational work from V2?
Well, Protocol 2.0 is expected to include enhanced, maybe deeper platform features. The sources strongly suggest this will likely involve improving developer tooling, refining the user experience for deployment even further, and potentially integrating those DAO features that were part of the September component roadmap we mentioned earlier.
So this raises an important question then. If V2 delivered the core multi-chain mechanism, the how, what exactly does Protocol 2.0 enhance? What's the what?
That's a good way to frame it. Think of V2 as solving the how to launch problem across these two very different chains. Protocol 2.0 will likely focus on solving the how to manage and govern those launches better post-deployment.
Oh, okay.
It seems highly probable that the Protocol 2.0 features will fully leverage that Layer 0 V2 communication architecture established in V2. They might introduce features like, say, cross-chain governance proposals or maybe simultaneous treasury management tools, allowing a token deployed via Cliza to manage its assets or conduct votes across both Base and Solana simultaneously from one interface.
That'll be powerful.
Yeah, the source material suggests Protocol 2.0 will be a deeper, more comprehensive software upgrade, made, going beyond just the immediate infrastructure changes of V2. More features, more usability.
And this December release, it also sets the stage for the entire next year, doesn't it?
Yes. Critically, the team has stated they will announce the comprehensive 2026 roadmap during the Protocol 2.0 release in December. That announcement will be really telling. It'll signal whether they intend to maybe expand to a third or fourth major chain leveraging that generalized messaging capability of Layer 0 V2 they now have.
Interesting.
Or, alternatively, whether they plan to focus on deeper feature integration within the existing base Solana Nexus. Things like specific DeFi integrations, maybe gaming platform tooling. It really dictates the strategic direction and the expected operating velocity for the entire platform going forward into 2026.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. We went from the confusion around the launch timeline to the clarity of the October V2 delivery. We unpacked the technical mastery involved in integrating two disparate ecosystems using Layer 0. And we analyze that profound economic pivot to a deflationary buyback and burn model. The path ahead seems clear. High-velocity development, culminating in that full platform vision update, Protocol 2.0, in December. #OutShagOutro. Whew. Okay, this deep dive was pretty essential, I think, to anchor the conversation in fact, rather than, getting lost in the speculation. Let's bring it home with the 3 definitive takeaways for you, the informed learner listening in. First, a V2 launch was successful. The confusion really stemmed from strategically prioritizing complex component delivery back in September, which then culminated in the integrated platform launch on October 1st. And crucially, all while maintaining that critical contract address for market stability.
Absolutely. Second takeaway, the platform has achieved genuine cross-ecosystem functionality. By utilizing that from minute one integration of the Layer 0 V2 messaging protocol, they've made simultaneous token deployment on both Base, the EVM world, and Solana, the non-EVM world, a reality. That solves immense liquidity and security fragmentation challenges that have plagued token creators for a long time.
Right. And third, that strategic pivot to buyback and burn. It's a fundamental restructuring of how value accrues to the CLIZA token. By sunsetting the, let's say, volatile and maybe complex revenue-sharing model, the team is essentially banking on the success of their new multi-chain infrastructure. They believe it will drive sufficient platform volume to ensure the systematic BNB mechanism creates long-term value for CLIZA holders through inherent scarcity. It's a big bet on their own tech.
It is. And, knowledge is always most valuable when it's understood and then applied. The ability of the Cliza team, and the sources mentioned co-founder Francis Kim specifically here, to execute such complex infrastructure shifts, like that Layer 0 V2 integration, while maintaining the same fundamental contract address. It really speaks volumes. It shows commitment to stability, to security, even amidst very aggressive innovation. They clearly prioritize the long-term health and trust of their existing community over simply hitting a calendar date that might have resulted in a less stable product.
That focus on continuous high-speed iteration is definitely key here. And as you, the listener, prepare for that comprehensive Protocol 2.0 announcement coming in December, here is maybe a final provocative thought for you to mull over. Given this relentless development schedule we've outlined, V2 shipped in October, major partnerships supposedly in November, Protocol 2.0, and the 2026 roadmap reveal in December, how much pressure does this continuous rapid iteration actually place on the community? And maybe on peripheral developers trying to build on or around Cliza, do they have to constantly adopt new standards and features?
That's an interesting angle.
Yeah, this high velocity, it's obviously key to capturing market share in this space. But is there maybe a risk of creating developer whiplash? Could it potentially strain the ecosystem's ability to keep pace with the core protocol's evolution? That's something you'll have to explore as that 2026 roadmap becomes clear and, well, the whole cycle probably begins anew.
Food for thought. Until next time.
Thanks for diving deep with us.